Everybody, do you remember last week when Justin Trudeau introduced the new digital charter and he said there would be consequences if social media giants ignored him, and then they ignored him and didn't show up to the hearing? Yeah, that was kind of funny. Do you think China was watching? I think they were maybe watching, and their use of the word consequences here is kind of interesting. CTV News reporting, quote, China tells Canada of consequences of helping the United States. China warned Canada on Friday that it needs to be aware of the consequences of aiding the United States in a case involving the Chinese tech giant Huawei that is believed to have sparked the detentions of 2 Canadians in China. Foreign Minister spokesman Jean Chang's comments Friday came after U.S. Vice President Mike Pence and Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau called for the release of Mike Korvig and Michael Spavor. And I'm just going to leave it there. I've gone through this a bunch. So basically China's saying, yeah, smarten up, Mr. Trudeau, or there'll be consequences because, you know, caught between 2 giant superpowers, the United States and China, for our trade, right? Canada is not very diversified. We've got the United States at 70% and China at roughly the rest. And, well, we're caught. We're caught. And Justin Trudeau is stymied. And he's got scandal after scandal after scandal, and the election is looming. 5 months left, and nobody wants to hear anything from this prime minister. Nobody. So what is he going to do? Divisive wedges. And what's a big wedge issue in Canada, or what could be a big divisive wedge issue in Canada? Abortion. Yeah. Maclean's is reporting, quote, why the Liberals can't stop talking about abortion. 3 cheers for abortion. Hip, hip, hooray. No, that wasn't the actual script of this week's motion in the House of Commons affirming support for abortion, but it accurately sums up the reaction to it from Liberal benches. These days, it seems like nothing puts a bigger smile on Liberal faces than the prospect of talking about abortion. And just a quick aside here, I watched that, action in the House of Commons, and wow, it was really strange. Very, very strange to see everybody standing up and clapping with big smiles on their faces. It's a weird thing. It's weird. It's a very, very strange thing. And I don't think it's appropriate personally. But these are the Trudeau Liberals, so I guess they don't care what I think. They really don't. Okay, back to the article. If the debate in Canada is about a new threat to abortion, the Liberals think that they're in with a shot, to wit. Justin Trudeau, with the NAFTA renegotiation still in the balance, and 2 Canadians locked up in Chinese jails, pawns in the U.S.-China dispute, chose to spend some of his precious time with U.S. Vice President Mike Pence, warning him about the backsliding on reproductive rights on his patch in the United States. In case you missed it, Pence is against abortion, decidedly so. Not that anything Trudeau has to say about supporting the need for more of it will move A, Pence's opinion, or B, American jurisprudence. It would be like Mr. Pence coming here and saying, hey, Justin Trudeau, those abortion laws or lack thereof that you've got are very disappointing to me. Will it meaningfully change Canadian law? Of course not, right? Like, what a strange thing to spend time on. Diplomacy matters. Back to the article. Not that it matters, the liberal play on abortion is 100% domestic. Slapping at the vice president should also please the clap-happy backbench. But if you had told the Liberals at Christmas that cheering for abortion is how they'd be preparing for the upcoming federal election, they would probably have guessed that something had gone wrong. Badly wrong. Because politics is a punch bowl of karma, this week also saw SNC-Lavalin, the said something gone badly wrong, return with a federal judge declaring that the Montreal-based company will indeed go to trial on the corruption charges. This is the same SNC, you'll recall, on whose behalf the Prime Minister passed a law allowing them to duck a trial until Jody Wilson-Raybould got in the way. No wonder the Prime Minister is hooting and hollering about abortion. It needn't be an SNC. The threshold for talking about the threat to abortion is now incredibly low. At this point, the town drunk in a stoplight, town in rural Western Australia could tweet his opposition to abortion, and Trudeau would ring up Scott Morrison, the Aussie Prime Minister, and dress him down for not keeping his citizens in line on the subject of more dead babies. Of course, Trudeau isn't talking about dead babies. No politician ever would. Trudeau is talking about the right to an abortion. And while, quote, dead babies is a provocative way to frame abortion, quote, reproductive rights is its anodyne counterpart. Neither term captures the nuance of the debate. And there is nuance. It seems to be lost on the Liberals that someone can be pro-choice without being militantly so. That's where I imagine a lot of Canadians slot themselves on this vexed question, or that someone, for that matter, can be pro-life and not be a character in a Margaret Atwood novel. For many Canadians, the taking of a life, and that's what abortion is tragic. They don't want people who are raped to carry an unwanted child into this world, but nor do they think it's right that a woman can choose an abortion, quote, regardless of the reason, to use the words of the recent House motion. And if you think that's not progressive enough, how about the case of sex-selective abortion, a practice that's not uncommon in some cultures? That's, just in case you're not sure what sex-selective abortion is, it's the practice of finding out that you're having a girl and aborting that fetus in hopes of trying again for a boy, or vice versa. But I think it's more common to abort a girl and try again for a boy. That's what I've been reading anyway. I could be wrong, but that's what a sex-selective abortion is. And back to the article, a practice that's not uncommon in some cultures. Or the termination of a fetus with Down syndrome. These are hardly black and white questions, nor should they be political footballs or a wedge in Canadian society. So stop it, Justin Trudeau. Canadians deserve better than these desperate and pathetically obvious stunts. You are practicing the very fear and division that you railed against so eloquently to win in 2015. It's time to think up a new approach. And I think it's far too late for him to think up a new approach. I think he's torched his brand, but that's just my opinion. Here's another story, and this is Senator From tweeting, quote, a fuel truck driver at Toronto Pearson Airport rammed a plane with passengers inside 3 times, sending 5 people to hospital. Don't Canadians deserve more information about this event? I read about this morning, and I said, wow, this happened on May 10th. Here's the news report about it. I just find this interesting, and here you go. Links in the description if you want to see more.
Passengers that were in the plane. The damage, a massive hole in the front of an airplane, and the aftermath, a plane and fuel truck sit idle after colliding on the tarmac at Pearson.
I looked out and a large vehicle, was barreling.
It was 1:30 this morning. An Air Canada Dash 8300 landed at Pearson. The plane was taxiing towards the gate. That's when passengers noticed the truck.
Well, I saw it coming right at the very end, so I braced myself, but most everybody else didn't.
But suddenly, bang, it hit the front of the aircraft. Through the aircraft in one direction, it spun to the opposite, and then it looks like either the front or the rear of it hit the back of the airplane.
Either we spun, they spun, I don't know what happened, but it ended up on the tail end after that.
According to the Transportation Safety Board, the impact caused the plane to spin. The truck and plane collided a second time, which is when they came to a stop.
Here you can tell it's kind of dented.
And so I'll stop it there. I don't know if it was rammed 3 times or what happened there, but man, like I fly out of Pearson. That's concerning. These things are concerning. We do not live in a safer country than it was in 2015. Concerning. And that is 100% wholly on Justin Trudeau. 100%. That is his fault. Here is some more waste of your taxpayer dollars. CTV News is reporting Feds spent $1 million reminding Canadians of carbon tax rebate. That's in a document. This was reported May 28th. The Liberal government spent more than $1 million sending postcards to remind people in 4 provinces to claim the carbon tax rebate. According to the document tabled in Parliament on Monday, the Canadian Revenue Agency sent 7 million cards to households in Ontario, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and New Brunswick during tax season to remind them to claim the climate action incentive when filing their taxes. The cards cost taxpayers $1,016,345.74 to print and deliver. You're welcome. Your tax dollars at work, right? Oh, thanks for the reminder, Canadian government. This is an interesting one. This is a long one this morning, guys, but maybe it's not as long as I think it is. I feel like there's a lot of stories this morning, so I apologize if I go over, but it might be right bang on. Who knows? CBC Toronto is tweeting, quote, St. Albert Edmonton MP Michael Cooper told a Muslim anti-racism activist from Alberta that he should be ashamed of comments he made before Commons Committee this week. And yeah, this is interesting stuff. And A parliamentary committee exploring online hate descended into chaos this week after a Conservative MP told a Muslim witness he should be ashamed after he drew a link between Conservative commentators and the online history of mosque shooter Alexander Bissonnette. Doesn't matter. The eruption happened during Tuesday's committee hearing when Conservative MP Michael Cooper took issue with how witness Faisal Khan Suri, the president of the Alberta Muslim Public Affairs Council, described the online history of Alexander Bissonnette, the man sentenced to life in prison in February for shooting 6 people dead in a Quebec City mosque in January 2017. The evidence from Bissonnette's computer showed he repeatedly sought content about anti-immigrant, alt-right, and conservative commentators, mass murderers, U.S., President Donald Trump, and about Muslims, immigrants living in Quebec, Suri said. Suri went on to say that people like Robert Bowers, who is alleged to have killed 11 people in a synagogue shooting in Pittsburgh in October, and Brenton Tarrant, who is accused of shooting and killing 51 people in 2 mosques in Christchurch, New Zealand in March were similarly influenced by online hate coming from, quote, alt-right online networks. Suri told the committee that the online hate is a key factor in enforcing hate in all forms, including Islamophobia and anti-Semitism, and that more efforts should be made to study online hate and its effects on the offline world. When it was his turn to ask Suri and other witnesses witnesses' questions, Cooper laid into the Alberta anti-racism activist. Watch how they're using these words, okay? Cooper, the bad guy, laid into the Alberta anti-racism activist, right? Look how they're positioning these people. It's interesting to note. Back to this. Accusing him of suggesting a link between conservatism and violent extremism. Quote, Mr. Suri, I take great umbrage with your defamatory comments to try to link conservatism with violent extremist attacks. They have no foundation, they're defamatory, and they diminish your credibility as a witness, Cooper said. The Conservative MP then read into the record a passage from Tarrant's 74-page manifesto, which has been banned in New Zealand. In the passage, Tarrant is quoted as saying the social and political values of China, which are communist, are close to his own and that he rejects conservatism. Yes, that's interesting to note. He continued, I certainly wouldn't attempt to link Bernie Sanders to the individual who shot up Republican members of Congress and nearly fatally killed Congressman Scalise, Cooper said, so you should be ashamed. And this is an interesting. I noted this because of the eruption into chaos, the fact that you cannot call people out for saying what you're saying is not borne out in the data. You have nothing, no evidence to back it up. You're just saying it and it's not true. And here's proof that it's not true. And this caused the meeting to descend into chaos. Unbelievable. And this is a National Post article on the same kind of thing, but it's an opinion piece. But this article is actually a little dense, and I'm not going to go through it. I'm just going to read the title and leave the link in the description for you to read if you're interested. It says, it's an opinion piece, and it says, the anti-fascist left were the real fascists all along. Conflating conservatism with extremism is a sophomoric error by those who don't understand fascism's place on the political spectrum. And I mean, it's a little bit dense, so I don't want to bore you with the end of this video. So go have a read. You might find it interesting, or you might find it super boring and then click away. Who knows? Have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching, everybody. Check out the peoplespartyofcanada.ca and have a wonderful weekend.